Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Bauk. I'm president of Solution Synergy, and I'll be your host. And Anant Sharma is our featured subject matter expert. Our topic is security readiness starts here. Obviously, you've got to start somewhere, and we're going to spend our time today talking about security posture assessments. But I want you to understand that Acorian is highly admired in the industry. They've achieved some very difficult certifications, as you can see above: High Trust, CREST certification, and NIST certification. But they are unique in that they offer both testing services and compliance audit services. And a lot of companies can do one or the other, but they're not very good at both. Acorian is the exception. So with that, I will turn it back over to Anant and let him tell you why a security posture assessment is so important as you try and address all your cybersecurity challenges. Anant?
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, afternoon, everyone who's going to join from different time zones. I'm really thrilled to welcome you all to this session where we will be exploring a topic that has been increasingly shaping boardroom conversations, investment decisions, and operation priorities. That is security posture of the organization. So a quick introduction. So my name is Anant Sharma. So I'm associated with Acorian as an associate director for enterprise accounts, where we provide specific audit and advisory services to all the clients across various industries. So as an information security enthusiast, I have close to 10 years of work experience with various organizations like Deloitte, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, and Goldman Sachs. So just trying to explore the whole 9 yards of information security. So before we move forward, a quick sense check on who we are. So Acorian is a full-time global security firm headquartered in New Jersey with operational offices in Bangalore and a small office in Canada. So we work with clients of all sizes, from early stage startups to regulated enterprises across industries like healthcare, finance, SaaS, and manufacturing. So what truly sets us apart is our end-to-end service delivery model, which we categorize into three core pillars. So first is strategy, compliance, and testing. Talking about strategy, so here we help you to lay the foundation, whether it's security posture assessments, risk assessments, or budgeting. We help organizations build a whole roadmap aligned with both compliance and security goals. Compliance, we are high trust certified assessors, AICP approved for SOC 2 and both for PCI QSA and ACV firms. So we just don't help you with readiness, but we conduct the actual audits. And third, the testing. So our penetration testing team is CREST accredited and led by experts with deep hands-on experience. Okay, so if you see the three differentiators, so we have a team of 100 plus security experts. We have completed 400 plus security successful compliance assessments and audits. So we are one of the 10 accredited companies that offer both audit and testing services in-house. We have detected over 25,000 plus vulnerabilities through 1,500 plus penetration testing engagements. We also have our inbuilt governance, risk, and compliance tool known as Gorico that helps resolve clients in terms of risk management and also gathering evidences. So it's an end-to-end solution for everything. So going to this Acorian services, if you see on the left, the industry that we serve are financial services, health tech, e-commerce, media, MSPs, retail, and SaaS. And if you see the barrage of service offerings that we have, specifically we offer readiness assessments based on NIST, CSF, GDPR, HIPAA, ISO 27001, and so on. So if you see the attestation, we are specifically into high trust, SOC 2, PCI. Also, if you see on the left, we have the penetration testing. Specifically, we test the internal and external network, cloud. We are into PCI ASV scans as well. We also have red team assessments, secured core reviews. If you see on the security strategy and consulting services, we also offer vCISO and vSecurity team for organizations. We perform end-to-end risk assessment, security posture assessments, and also cloud security assessments. On the technology, staff, and augmentation front, we offer cybersecurity, development, testing, and ID operations. Moving on, so addressing the elephant in the room. So specifically, why would we need a security posture? So today we're going to dive into how specific organization security posture is more important than ever. So if you see, we are seeing a dramatic escalation in both the cost and frequency of cyber incident in the ever evolving cyberspace. In fact, if you see 60% of small and mid-sized businesses are forced to shut down within 6 months of experiencing a cyber breach, and that's staggering statistics and a wake-up call that security is just not a technical necessity, but it's a business critical strategy that we need to adopt. Furthermore, if you see the compliance risks are increasing, GDPR, CCPA fines are no longer rare. They are now becoming a regular consequence of insufficient data protection these days. And the moment we hit this, the client, market, financial, and regulatory fines also accompany us. And these penalties just don't hit your finances. That would be a reputational cost as well and a brand reputation. So we have seen very high profile examples. If you see, Colonial Pipeline, which has paid around close to 500 million in ransom just to get their operations back online. And that's was not just a technical disruption. It was a national infrastructure crisis. And considering this, the average cost of a data breach is now staggering 4.45 million. And that includes direct costs like legal, regulatory fines, and indirect costs that could have your brand damaged and a customer churn as well. So the message is clear. Your security posture is just not a compliance. It's about business survival and resiliency. So moving on to the recent breaches that we have got, these are all the real-time world examples to understand the current landscape. So TD Bank Canada. So there was an insider breach by a former employee. So there was a risk of identity theft here. Orange Group also was recently hit by a ransomware attack, which led to 600,000 records that was leaked online. And the recent one was a Marks and Spencer one. There was a major attack by a scattered spider group, which has caused a significant financial impact to the group. Co-op and Heralds also was breached to a social engineering attack, which led down to all the internal system shutdowns. And the recent one was Tata Technology as well, in which the 1.4 TB of data got leaked after a ransomware attack was initially minimized by the company. So if you see, these all breaches vary, and the main consequences are significant and often underestimated. So each of these shows how security controls have been failed, which lead to legal, operational, reputational damage. So why do we need posture assessments, and what is a bit beyond compliance to maturity? So how do we prevent becoming the next headlines? The first step is moving beyond checkbox compliances or a list that we usually have and that we tick. So many companies meet compliance standard, but still they also suffer catastrophic breaches. Why? Because compliance only tells that you have a control that exists, but do you also make sure that it actually works or not? So security posture assessments go deeper. We test how effectively controls are in practice and in place. We check the overall posture of the organization. We highlight all the gaps that has been in execution, and also provide a path towards actual maturity, not just minimum compliance. So this is a critical shift here from getting reactive to proactive, from surface level checks to performing deep operational analysis. So if you see in the middle, we have our rosy quantification. So we now have the ability to show measurable returns on security investments. And what does a vulnerability patch save in terms of breach probability? Or how much can improve detection reduce incident response costs? So if you see third-party risk management, are all vendors secure? Do we actually assess them in terms of their resilience or the risks that we have? So their weakness can easily exploit you, and objective assessments should provide a clarity here. M&A due diligences, that's one of the most important. So imagine acquiring a company that seems fine on paper, but has umpteen number of hidden vulnerabilities. So posture assessment expose those risks before the deal is signed, and we perform a due diligence before the M&A has been completed. So we check in terms of what is the operation resiliency of the vendor of the company that is we currently acquired. And also, if you see the private equity part of it, for investors, posture assessments uncover a hidden risk that can actually affect the long-term value of portfolio companies. So they ensure that the IT risk does not erode your ROI. So NIST, when you talk about the NIST CSF's framework, that's for a true maturity. So why NIST? So it offers a common language across technical and business teams. It supports benchmarking across industries, and it also enables measurable progress in strategy development. And NIST will not just tell you that to build a secure culture, but it will also support your business growth beyond compliance. So if you see, we have broken down our NIST into four approaches. The first is a structure approach, beyond compliance, risk-based priorities, and growing adoption. So a structured, maturity-driven approach would deliver a proactive threat management rather than firefighting here, and continuous improvement through regular assessments and roadmap updates towards security. Here, we would have a greater accountability as team would understand just not what to, but why it will matter going forward. So if you see the risk-based priorities, we would focus specifically on high-impact vulnerabilities. Since the cyberspace is ever evolving, you have like umpteen number of vulnerabilities and threats that are growing day by day. So we would leverage a real-time threat intelligence and align remediation with business critical operations. And if you see the growing adoption, the NIST adoption it's increased by 30% in 2024 among organizations. And it's getting accelerated alignment between vendors and buyers specifically, and also encourages our peer collaboration and shared practices. It also supports government, industry, and all the international standards that are currently in the market. And also, it's a driving demand for security professionals for strategic thinking, not just technical skills. And if you see the demand has risen from 2024 till now for the professional information security professional that are familiar with NIST CSF. So if you see here, we have a real world impact and an M&A case study that we have inculcated here specifically. So let's close this section with a real case here. If you see on the left, like the target company has initially passed a due diligence check and got a very clean sheet that it was compliant and there were no vulnerabilities, risks, or threat that they have, and it was a full clean sheet here. But when there was a deeper assessment, a posture assessment, and it was found that there was like a barrage of vulnerabilities that came out of the assessment. Like there was no MFA on the key systems, all the legacy software were unpatched, and there was a no formal incident response plan in case of a disaster or an intraday disruption. All these things were found when we had gone deep. We have assessed all the controls in terms of design and operation efficiency. So we usually we have dealt with the controls that has been placed for the overall architecture of the firm, and we try to check the design effectiveness and operating effectiveness, leading to a test of effectiveness of all the controls. So this could, if at all, there was no posture assessment that was conducted here, this could have cost the buyer millions post acquisitions. Instead, what they have did was they used the findings to renegotiate deal terms, create a clear integration roadmap, and eliminate $2 million in projected remediation costs. So if you see, compliance doesn't equal safety. Only maturity assessment will give you a full picture of the whole posture of the organization. So if you see our approach, Accordion's approach is divided into tiered multi-assessments that go beyond compliance. The first one on the left would be a governance assessment, and the second is attack surface assessment. We'll go through in detail in the next slides. However, so at this stage, I think you might be wondering how Accordion would help organizations actually to put everything into the action. So let's talk about our approach now. So we don't believe in one size fits all checklist sort of sort of a predicament. But yes, every business has a different threat landscape, different regulatory pressures, and a different level of cyber maturity. So that's why our assessments are tailored and not templated or like a checklist. First, how do we start off with a posture assessment? we would have we start with a customized assessment. This isn't about like asking if the control exists. It's about evaluating how well they're implemented, how mature your processes are, and how aligned your practices are with the real business risk. We take into account your industry, what is the size, architecture, and all your exposure points. Second, we conduct a governance and attack surface review. This means we would evaluate your internal policies and your external vulnerabilities. So we look at whatever you have, the right structures in place for decision making, escalation, and also accountability. And we do examine your digital footprint as well. What assets are exposed, what are unmonitored, and what are entry points that might exploit. We provide a prioritized actionable insights. We just don't hand over a whole report. Instead, we would deliver a maturity score aligned to frameworks like NIST a roadmap of quick wins and strategic investments, and also a quantified risk reduction matrix. So you can show progress to your board, auditors, or investment or your investors on how the posture was then versus our after our assessments. Ultimately, our goal is to help you go beyond compliance and towards a security posture that is resilient, measurable, and continuously improving in terms of the ever-evolving cyberspace. And also, we would make sure that where you stand today, where you need to be tomorrow, and how to get there uh, efficiently and with the confidence in the controls that has been done. So if you see the governance assessment steps here, the first thing would be a questionnaire-based assessment on your GRC platform from that's Gorico. So we would be having a tailor-made questionnaire based on the size and the architecture of the organizations. The second step would be we would be reviewing responses and audit evidences for all the control effectiveness. Then we would be having interviews with all the key stakeholders, trying to understand the whole architecture of the firm, how the current controls placed, all the vulnerabilities, and how the whole infrastructure is placed here. Then we would analyze attack service scan results. We would assess documentation, policies, and training, define security KPIs like what would be the incident response plan and what would be the remediation rates. The third would be the final reporting. So we would report with an overall score per domain rating. All the in-scope domain would be assessed here, and there would be recommendation based on the whole posture, basically your design effectiveness and operating effectiveness, all the controls. And then finally, we'll provide a prioritized action plan with clear timelines. So if you see on the attack surface assessments, we are having the list of barrage of things that we would check. So if you see the subdomain enumeration, so we would identify all the domains belonging to organizations and subdomains for all these domains. Docking, we use advanced technique like to hunt for sensitive information that includes API keys, secrets and credentials, etc. We have Git praying as well. So we search for sensitive files, code snippets, passwords, URLs belonging to organization, domain, or GitHubs. Security risks. We assess the preliminary security defenses of externally exposed assets, which makes for a robust security posture. Lookalike domains. We also try to identify all the lookalike domains that will help pin down phishing sites if there are any. Malware, we also have malware risk in scope. So we have tools and techniques to assess whether a website is already infected by a malware or not. We have services and open port as well. So enumerating all services and open ports exposed over the internet and assessing the impacts of the same. Also, we also check the compromised passwords. So automated review of all the password dumps to identify credentials that have been disclosed in the past attacks. So if you see, we have the barrage of whole attack surface assessment that we will inculcate for performing a security posture for an organization. Finally, how we have just to wrap up, what recommendation we would provide is we would not suggest to wait for a breach to highlight the gaps. We have to invest now in a security strategy that is rooted in maturity, measurement, and resilience. And we have to shift the narrative from being reacting to breaches rather than building a posture that would prevent them altogether. Oh, so whether you are a CISO, risk manager, IT leader, or a business executive, today's landscapes demands more than just compliance. The threat environment has been evolved and it's super evolving day by day, and so must be our approach. So we have to act early. We will not wait for any breaches. We have to be proactive. We should have tailored assessments based on your business needs, size of your organization and architecture, and drive value. So basically, we would gain insights, reduce risk, boost your business strength, so that your overall posture of the organization remain secure with our posture. So to wrap up, that was all. And I'm happy to take if you have any questions.